Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome back to Multifamily Rockstars. So as you know, this is where we interview people that are crushing it in this business. And we show you guys the inside scoop into how multifamily investors are creating massive success in not just their businesses, but actually in their lives as well. And as always, I've got my co-host, the director of my massive action team, Mark Nagy, on the call. Mark, what's up, brother?
Hey, Rod, not too much. Just excited for our call here today. Sounds like we've got a guy who's got some similar passions to myself, health and wellness and fitness and connecting that all to business. So I'm excited to dive into it.
Yeah, he's a great guy. His name is Glenn Hamburger, and he's just a super nice guy. He's in our Warrior program. He's actually been a certified financial planner for about 25 years, but he's also a fitness buff, health and fitness buff, and he's got his own website on that. It's called highperformancegenx.com, and so he doesn't just help people financially; he helps them with frankly, what's more important? Nothing's more important than your health and fitness. So, and mindset as well. So really excited to have a fun conversation today. Glenn, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you so much. I am so ecstatic to be here with both you guys.
Love it. Love it. So why don't you take a minute and do a better job of explaining who you are than I did in that pathetic intro. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and a little bit about your story?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. So I have actually been in the real estate industry indirectly and directly for a long, long time. When I live in Orange County, California. Now I know there's an Orange County, Florida. Orange County, California it has a lot of wealth built on real estate. And so when I was younger, my father, who was a college professor, started buying single family homes. And these were, $100,000 to $200,000 back in the 70s, early 80s. And he had a pretty good portfolio. And so I saw, and he rented them out, and he really was building quite a little empire. But he got cold feet because he was a professor. He was very conservative, and he sold them. If he would have held on to those houses, Rod, those houses would be worth anywhere from, $2 to $7 million now. But the point is that it's about creating streams of income. And so I learned that. And then when I went to college, I was in the wrong mindset. I was not there to get an education. I was there for the social aspect. And I really didn't get out of the education part what I really should have, because I wasn't focused on that. It's kind of what you focus on is what comes to you. And so when I graduated, I came back from Santa Barbara, went to Santa Barbara, came back down to Southern California, started working for a bank. I wanted to learn about what entrepreneurs did, what made them successful, what made real estate investors successful. And I was fortunate enough to be able to work with, a handful of very, very successful commercial real estate people that started years and years ago. And I saw what they did. And it wasn't rocket science. It was about buying assets that were going to create value. These were not multifamily. They were actually retail and office, but they created streams of income. And these people had weathered numerous recessions and were able to weather that and actually got stronger each time. And one of the reasons is because they paid down their debt. They lived well below their means. And that really started to teach me something about wealth creation and wealth building. And one of the other things that these clients, and they became friends and family, almost family to me. One of the other things that really resonated well is that they gave back. I would never have seen individuals or families give as much back, not only to the community and financial, but also in their time and resources. And you could walk into and I'm talking 5 or 6 different families, and they had a mindset that there is enough for everybody. And so before I even realized what an abundant mindset was, they were able to really teach that, not only to me, but everybody that came into their circle. So that's one thing that really I have tried to also instill in my own philosophy of life. And it's paid off pretty well. So as a private banker and wealth manager, and part of that was I would help these clients with their banking and financing needs. So I really got intimately involved with underwriting their lines of credit for liquidity, as well as their commercial real estate loans. So I understood what they were getting into from a retail standpoint. They would purchase golf courses, they would purchase vineyards. Some would buy toys and buy airplanes and yachts, but I understood what it took to really build wealth. And so I took that to heart, and I continued to work with these clients, and I absolutely enjoy it, because all these clients are, even though they're mega wealthy, they are such a pleasure to deal with. And I was very fortunate from that standpoint, because there's some that maybe aren't so pleasurable to deal with, but obviously you want to be able to pay the bills, and you want to surround yourself with successful people. And you obviously, not everybody you deal with, you're going to enjoy. But I have been fortunate that most of the people that I've been interacting with, I've been able to enjoy. So I became a certified financial planner so that I could help people not only with their financial goals and their wealth building goals and their intergenerational goals of where they want their money to go from a charity standpoint, as well as to their next generations and to whoever they want to pass their wealth on to. But I also started to incorporate health and wellness, because as you know, without health, you don't have wealth, period. And so I started intimately studying health and wellness. And I was also fortunate because my dad was really into health and wellness, as well as being a professor and investing in the markets. And I built upon that. And it's always been an iterative process. So I've always, no matter how much I know there's a lot more to learn. And so that kind of brings us to where we are today. I am involved in real estate, but I'm also involved still with my clients that are invested in the markets and are looking to do other things. And so I've really learned that it's not just about focusing on one thing. It's really trying to be balanced and be a good person and give back.
Love it. It's when we interview people for our Warrior program, that's one of the things I listen for. Because and we turn people down because as you said, you've been blessed to be involved with these abundance mindset families, but there are wealthy people out there that haven't gotten that memo, and there are regular people out there that haven't gotten that memo. Excuse me, that don't realize that we have two hands, one to pull ourselves up and one to pull up people beneath us. And so, I listen for narcissism or ego. And if I get a hint of it, we don't let them in. Just because we're, as you know how incredible the program is. And so we're very, very careful with that. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, how do I want to start this? Do you have an opinion as to what type of person is best suited for this multifamily business? I want to focus mostly on multifamily. Obviously, would love to talk some about mindset and health, but let's start with multifamily.
So yeah. I think that someone that is interested in getting into multifamily or is involved in multifamily and is trying to figure out what they really need to figure out why. And I think that's the most important thing. And that why is to, first of all, create an asset that is going to help people have a place to live. That's number one. And also what that's going to do for them and their family. And once they figure that out, because you know it better than anybody, this is not easy. And so there's going to be curveballs, there's going to be roadblocks, there's going to be speed bumps that are thrown at you every day and every hour. And once you figure that out, no matter how old or young you are, that's going to help you really push through those barriers. And I know that is somewhat mindset, but I think that, and I think that also that.
I think it's almost 80, 90% mindset. I mean, what you just described, it's being able to push through that stuff. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially, for me, the reason that I, became involved with your program is because you opened up a box that I thought was limited only to Orange County, California. And at the time, Orange County, California, it's really difficult, not only from a cap rate, but from a capital standpoint to get involved. And right. and so you were able to help kind of enlighten me as well as the other warriors to that that you're not locked into your backyard. Right. Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Well, obviously, you work with a lot of wealthy people from the story you've just told, but how do you define success in multifamily, and how do you think new investors should define success when they're getting into this business?
So I think you need to define success. It's obviously going to be individual. And I think success is going to be, you really, I hear about people talking about the number of doors they have, but I am more as a financial planner, as a wealth advisor, as a banker, I'm really more focused on cash flow. So you need to figure out what you need in order to be financially independent, financially secure, in order to give back what that number is. And then you work the numbers back into there. And then it's going to start small, but you've got to build on that. And so whatever your net cash flow is on a monthly basis, a yearly basis, you need to work that into what you define as success. So if somebody needs $5,000 as their minimum monthly net expense budget or expense net, then they need to have at least $5,000 in passive income.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't say income coming from multifamily. Great
answer. Sorry, I'm just getting over this damn COVID. Good Lord. So what do you think, what sorts of people do you feel like you should align yourself with to be a success in this business? Speak to that for a moment.
So I think that's a really good question, because that's another thing that your events and your program really opens up is that you're able to find all types of different people from all walks of life, from all education levels, from all levels of success. But you want to align yourself with people that are different than you, because you want to be able to complement. And I know you and Robert and Mark are different from each other, but you complement each other and you help each other, keep each other accountable and lift each other up. And I think that's one of and I've listened to, a lot of the other warriors and other guests on your podcast, and they all say that they align themselves with people that are not only driven and want to improve, but also people that complement their strengths. Right.
And that's the secret to success. If you're playing to your strengths and someone else is playing to theirs, success is inevitable. So let me, what words of wisdom would you give to aspiring multifamily investors? Maybe they haven't pulled the trigger yet. They know they want to do this. They haven't taken action yet. What might you tell them?
So I'm going to sound cliche here, but there's a couple of things. First of all, get some level of education, and if it is mentorship and research, but align yourselves with some kind of teacher, coach, or mentor that you can, if you're starting out from scratch, you don't have any money, you don't have any capital, you are going to be learning the business by using your sweat equity. And if you do have money, align yourselves with people that will help you. Either they have experience and they don't have the capital. And so you need to make sure and that's the thing, you have to be able to open up your mind in terms of being open to people you're meeting. And it really it's a people business, right? So you need to know people that you're meeting that you can trust and work with them, number one, and that you're going to be open-minded enough to learn. Nobody knows everything. And I think everybody will agree on that. And so you have to have an open mind and find the right people. And that comes with time and being assertive and being persistent and knowing your why and your purpose.
Yeah. Love it.
Well, it's interesting you say the whole sweat equity side of things, right? Because that's a big question that always comes up, right? Is how do I get started? But let's say you were the mentor, Glenn, you were the one that was coaching somebody. What would you make sure that person learned about in the first, 30 days of getting started in this business?
So I would say that they need to know, which markets they want to invest in. And Rod has taught everybody in the program that you want to focus on a couple of markets that are in areas where there's job growth, where there's population growth, where there's low crime, good schools, and the numbers make sense. And you need to know that those foundational principles in order to really start investing. And then you go into those markets, if they're not in your backyard, and you start to meet people, you start to meet brokers, you start to meet property managers, you start to really build your team and then you look for people to partner with as well.
Yeah. Great answer. Great answer. So, during your career here, as it relates to multifamily real estate, were there any aha moments or experiences that come to mind that might have been pivotal for you?
Absolutely. And you're going to slap me across the face when I tell you this, and luckily it turned out okay. So Kansas City is a great market. And when I first started, this was before I was working with you, but I bought a fourplex, and I bought it without visiting it. And it was appraised for way over what I paid for it. It cash flowed, but there were some major problems with it that were never disclosed. And it ultimately cost me it wasn't detrimental, because I ultimately actually just sold it and I made a pretty good profit, but it taught me that you've got to go and kick the tires. And I know you're going to come slap me in the face.
No, listen, I can't, because I did the same damn thing when I was buying a bunch of property, super fast. There was a property that my bird dogger had found. I thought he looked at it. He thought I looked at it, and we closed on it. And then we drive up, and there's nothing from the top of the ceilings on up. It was just 4 walls. I'm like, oh, good God. And we made money on it anyway, but oh, good Lord, that was not a fun day. But you absolutely should go visit.
Yeah.
What you're looking at.
Glenn, just for the listeners, would you mind sharing some of those issues that have come up on that property?
Sure. So I didn't realize it's in an area where there's quite a few other fourplexes. And like I said, it appraised well, it appraised okay, and it inspected okay. But there was a driveway that was part of the property that wasn't disclosed, as well as a field, which could have turned into another multifamily property, but we couldn't get that to work. But this driveway apparently needed to be repaved, and it was in really bad shape. And so the trash people couldn't get to pick up the trash truck or the dumpster, and it ended up costing me, and it wasn't an expensive property, it was $155,000, but it ended up costing me 10 grand. And that, if you do the numbers, it's kind of a bummer, right?
Right. The other thing, when you've got an area like that, that's got a lot of multifamily in it, small multifamily, you're at the mercy of the other landlords. What am I trying to say? Their ability to keep their properties up and take care of them. Because if they're not taking care of theirs, there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And that's one of the hurdles with, an area that's got a ton of multifamily, small multifamily like that, plexes, because, there's some tough areas that come out of that where owners just don't care and nobody's taking care of the yard and the trash piles up and so on and so forth. So that's a hurdle there as well.
The other thing with that property is that, and this is another thing that I learned through your program that I didn't know, is you need to verify the utilities. The utilities on that property for water for a fourplex were $250 to $500 a month. And that's, I don't want to say this, but I thought Kansas City is run by the mafia, because how do you have $250 to $500 and there's no leaks? The property manager was like, no, there's no leaks. So that was another mistake.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, no, you absolutely have to check all of your utility invoices and things like that for sure. By the way, guys, if you haven't been to one of my boot camps, come to one of my boot camps, because we go through all of this and you get a lot of books with incredible resources and checklists and so on and so forth. And if you are interested in applying to our Warrior Mentorship Program, text the word CRUSH to 72345. That's CRUSH. So we can help you crush it in this business to 72345. And then, we'll see if you're a fit for us. And we definitely take you through a little process to make sure you're a fit. And then you can see if we're a fit for you as well. So anyway, so let me ask you this. We talked about aspiring real estate investors, people that want to do this. We talked about who to align with. What do you think has been the most challenging part of the business, in the most recent, more recent challenging part, or maybe when you were starting to, actually? I guess, let me not put a timeline on it, but what's been a challenge for you?
So I think one of the challenges, and this is something that I think every new out-of-state investor needs to take into account, is going and visiting your markets, especially if they're 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 miles away. I know 3,000 might be too much, but
Right.
I'm a single father. I've got a busy day, and if you have a lot of things going on, you have to make time to go and visit and really integrate yourself into the markets, one or two of them, so that you know that market and you know the people there. And so that has been my biggest hurdle and challenge.
Yeah, let me talk to that for a moment. So as and so many of us, we buy out of state, and you'll start building those relationships with brokers locally, property managers, like you said, inspectors, appraisers, vendors, maybe even investors that live there. But at some point, you have to go there. And what you want to do when you go there is you want to have your dance card completely full. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is accounted for. You're touring properties with that the broker might have listed. You're meeting these people, because I'm going to tell you that until you do that, it's just not the same. Once you go out there and meet them, it's like everything changes, because they see you're real. They see that you've got integrity. They see who you are, and everything changes. Would you agree with that, Glenn?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And all the warriors and the people that are in my inner circle that do that, right, they are killing it doing that.
Right.
So
right. Love it. So go ahead, Mark.
Awesome. Well, I want to dive in a couple minutes to kind of talk about the health and wellness side of things, because I know that's something you're passionate about. Me as well. I use a little quick tip pretty much every single day, especially if I got 9-10 hour work days where I'm doing this with Rod and then working on my business and everything, is I like to go and, get a workout in the middle of the day and split it up. So I got 4 or 5 hours in the morning, and then I go work out, and then it's almost like a whole new fresh day in the afternoon. So doing that is something that I love, but I'd love to hear from you. How do you see health and wellness playing into business and the two relating? Why are those connected for you?
Absolutely. And I think that they go hand in hand. And so since I've been doing it for so long, I used to be a long distance runner. I got really into it. And that was the be all end all. And I actually weighed 20 pounds lighter, but it started to take over my life, because running and cycling and endurance sports take a lot of time. And I actually ran myself into the ground. So then I had to take a step back and really, see what I could do to not only be healthy, but feel good and look good. And so I just started experimenting, and I actually hired a couple of online coaches to help me. And I've read 1,000 books in the past 9 years. And that's really how I've kind of educated myself. So it's about breaking it up and doing things that you enjoy. People ask me all the time, well, how do you stay so healthy and fit? I'm like, well, it's really not that complicated. And it's not about, you can't outwork a bad diet. And I know a lot of people like to, people are foodies, people like to drink wine. Well, I just tell people, listen, if you want to be fit and healthy on a year-round basis, and I'm saying for me that I'm in my mid-50s, I'm able to maintain single-digit body fat year-round because I don't eat out all the time. I think occasionally it's great. And I think it's occasionally okay to have, some alcohol and drink a lot of water. I've been doing intermittent fasting for 10 years, but I don't work out that much. I really don't. I'm able to, once you get to a level that you want to be at, and you're young, Mark, so you really can like focus on what you want and keep it concentrated. As long as you're eating and doing the right things around that, you can stay fit until you're 130, 140, like Dave Asprey. So I really, and I want to emphasize also that eating whole foods, organic, raw, staying away from, processed foods, gluten, all that, it all plays in together. So there's a lot of things to take into account. And the working out is really important too, because it also gets your blood flow and it helps you relieve stress, but it's everything together. And that includes the mindset, the meditation, the reading, the giving back, the affirmations, everything that Rod teaches.
Love it. Love it.
How do you see that stuff spilling over into your business then? When you're feeling good, what does that do for your business?
Oh, people. So I'm involved with quite a few attorneys and high-end professionals here in the California market. When I tell them that my wealth management practice includes health and wellness, they're like, what? I've never heard of that before, because you see people that work their butts off their whole life to build this nest egg to live and retire, quote unquote, retire and buy toys. And I absolutely think that's great. But if you don't take care of your health, no matter how old you are, you can't enjoy it. I mean, this past year has been a great example of that. If you get, God forbid, Rod got COVID and he's healthy, but if he wasn't, he takes care of himself. But people don't take care of themselves. They think, oh, it's not going to happen to me, but it can. And you feel.
And let me tell you, it sucks. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to use profanity there, but it is no fun. Tiffy and I both had it, and it wiped us out. And I exercise several times a week. I have a vegetable shake every morning. I have vegetables with every meal, including breakfast. And I still, and let me pigtail on what you just said, Glenn. Guys, those of you listening that want to make this happen, you want to do this side hustle, you want to grind for a few years like most people won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't, and maybe you've got a family, maybe you've got kids, you've got a core job, and you're going to do multifamily on the side. It requires incredible energy. And to have that energy, you've got to focus on health. You've got to do these things that Glenn's talking about, the exercise, the diet, and really pay attention to it. And I will tell you, I've slacked for, probably about a year. I'm down. I'm not as healthy as I normally am. And Tiffy and I were talking about it. We shouldn't have gotten sick, frankly. We shouldn't have gotten COVID. And if we had, it shouldn't have impacted us like it did. So both of us are like, okay, that's a wake up call. I mean, I'm approaching 62 years old, so I've got a little excuse, but yeah. So let me ask you this. Love that conversation. Let's talk mindset for a minute. What inspires you? Do you have any favorite quotes, any favorite authors that you like? Talk about around mindset, Talk about that for a minute.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, so there's so many great quotes, but one of the, I think, ones that resonates really well with me is to take 100% responsibility for your life, good or bad. Yeah. And it's how you react to whatever happens to you is what is ultimately going to determine your success or failure. And it comes from Jim Rohn. It's actually a Stoic quote. I study Greek Stoicism, and it's one I love really, and that was thousands of years ago. And all the premise of all this personal development came from the Stoics.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And life is about meaning. And two people can experience the same thing that from the outside could be really perceived to be devastating. And one of them could walk away stronger and more solid. The other one is destroyed. And it's whatever meaning you place on what happens to you. I put a meaning on losing $50 million. And the meaning is I would have never met my wife and I'd give it all up again for her. And so, life truly is about meaning. Do you have any favorite quotes? Do you have a quote that you love, that you live by? Anything come to mind?
It's take responsibility for your life, 100%.
Oh, so it's the responsibility. Got it.
Yeah.
Own your life 100%. Yeah. Agreed.
I think Jim Rohn made it famous, but it honestly comes from the Stoics, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and I think you've read quite a bit of Stoicism.
I love Marcus Aurelius's work. It's amazing how that people that brilliant were around that long ago. Socrates,
Another good one is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. That's a great book for people to pick up that might want to learn about that.
Yep, same topic. Yep, it's the same topic.
Success Principles by Jack Canfield is great.
That's a great book. I've used a lot of that, a lot of his book in my work as a primer and as an example for some of my Own Your Power clips, because it's just such good stuff. Yeah. Good guy, Canfield is. I know you did some stuff with him. I have as well. So what do you think is one of the most important lessons you've learned in your life? And it doesn't have to just be multifamily.
Well, I think so. Since I came from a family that was very heavily educated, influenced. My dad had a PhD in psychology and math. My mom had a master's degree. And I was not a good student, I'll be honest. I was not forced. I was heavily encouraged to go to college. And I really shouldn't have. I'll be honest, because I didn't get anything out of my undergraduate degree. Right. And so, ultimately I matured and saw the value, but I went to a school to have fun. And then when I got my master's degree, I took it seriously and I applied myself. So I think what I would encourage, no matter what age you are, in your 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, you need to always be learning, educate yourself. I've learned more from when I went through some very difficult personal experiences 9 years ago, losing my father, going through divorce, and I reinvented myself and started reading voraciously. And the way I started reading was through Audible. Most of my books are through Audible. Mm-hmm. And since I have ADHD, mm-hmm. I'm able to listen at a very high speed. So that's why I've been able to listen to 1,000 books or read 1,000 books. And so I think that and you can always be improving your mind, everything about you. And it's not just improvement. It's also, reading about people. Some of my favorite books are on Abraham Lincoln, on Benjamin Franklin, on Richard Branson, mm-hmm. on Elon Musk, on seeing what made them tick, on Steve Jobs, on Arnold Schwarzenegger. Great books. Oh, yeah. So I encourage everybody to get involved with some type of ongoing reading program.
It looks, excuse me. It looks like you monitor your sleeping as well. Is that an Oura ring?
You are the guy that turned me on to this.
Am I really?
Yes.
Awesome.
At first I'm like, oh, there's Rod doing another crazy thing.
Yeah, no, it's right there, man. Yeah. So yeah. That, by the way, guys, that's a ring that monitors your sleep patterns and how well you sleep and how deep you sleep. And it's real powerful to pay attention to that, to see if there are things that are impacting your sleep, and because sleep is so freaking important. But yeah, love it.
So let me ask you, when I first got it last year, they were sending surveys through the University of California at San Francisco asking, because they were trying to predict people that were going to get COVID. Did you have any idea that you were possibly going to be getting it through the? No,
see, we went to Costa Rica. Tiffy and I went to a mastermind there, and we actually had to be tested to come back in the United States. So we got tested on like Friday, and we flew back on Sunday. Test was negative, but then by Tuesday, we were done. We put a fork in us. We were done. So somehow between Friday and Tuesday, but Costa Rica actually shut down, completely locked down after we left. Like the next week, every restaurant got closed, everything got closed. So there was a huge outbreak there.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was part of it. But well, listen, if you could give one piece of advice to our listeners before we cut loose here, what might that be?
Well, I think that they really, if they're not involved with multifamily real estate at this point, and they really want to, even if they love their job like me, if you love what you're doing, you need to be involved in creating passive streams of income with a hard asset, which is multifamily real estate, because it's recession proof. Everybody needs a place to live. And so and once people realize, commercial real estate, speaking of retail or
office, industrial,
office, yeah, right. Those are not recession proof. Right. Whereas multifamily and self-storage are. And I know I'm diverting, but No, it's fine. Self-storage is as well. Mobile home parks as well, believe it or not. But office, oh my God, I literally just read something today that they're expecting huge flood of office foreclosures. Of course, retail they've gotten their butts kicked, because so many restaurants are struggling and retail businesses are struggling. But Mark, did you have a last question or two?
Well, one more thing for you here, Glenn. If you could, what's one weakness that you want to improve for yourself moving forward?
Well, this is something that I think that everybody needs to work on, and I tell people is to focus on one thing. This is a great book. The one you can't see it. The One Thing, Gary Keller's book. Yes, fantastic. I interviewed his co-author on the show. Yeah, he's Papasan. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I work on it. It's like a muscle. Mm-hmm. It's like concentration. And once you can focus on whatever you're trying to accomplish, you can accomplish anything.
Love it. And I'll tell you, focus is power. And I listen to Tim Ferriss's podcast, which is, I get excited because we're about to break 11 million downloads. I think he does that a week or something, but he interviews the best of the best in every walk of life, from, actors to CEOs like Ray Dalio, billionaires, politicians, so on and so forth. But the best of what they do, athletes. And I started to hear a pattern, and they all meditate. And what does meditation enhance? Focus, right? And
Yep.
and focus is so freaking critical. And so guys, that's a clue. Okay. And by the way, I use this. I'll give them a free shout out. I use a couple of meditation apps. Now, where's my phone? I don't see my phone.
You still use
one of them
Piz?
Piz is one that I use. I don't know what the hell I did.
Calm,
with my
I think, is a good one, right?
Oh yeah, and there's another Calm. Yeah. That's the other one I just did. Yeah. So you can set the time and it'll totally put you to sleep. It's freaking awesome. Do you use an app, Glenn, to meditate, or do you just do it on your own?
I actually use Piz per your recommendation, but then there's another one called Holosync by Centerpoint, and it's about a 6-year program, and it really puts me into almost a transcendental, like out of body state, but
wow.
It's pretty amazing.
It takes, what did you say? I didn't hear the last thing.
It can take up to an hour a day.
Oh,
so,
no.
Yeah.
I can't sit still for freaking 15 minutes. I'm not doing an hour. But listen, anything helps, guys, and anything you can do to enhance your focus, minimize your screen time. I find myself watching a movie and scrolling through Instagram and Facebook. And I mean, your mind is making these micro decisions every split second, and that kills your focus. So yeah, that's a great answer. Well, listen, brother, it's great to see you, man. I hope I get to see you soon, and we'll have live events here soon. And, I'm hoping to have one before the end of the year, but it's great hanging with you today, Glenn.
Yeah. Good seeing you guys. Nice meeting you, Mark. And I look forward to seeing you guys in person.
All right.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Take care, buddy.
You too.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411.